In an earlier video, we analyzed a debate between Ben Affleck and Bill Maher to see how religious literacy could have helped everyone gain a richer understanding about religion. But one subscriber pointed out, sure, great, religious literacy is a fine and noble goal, but how the heck am I supposed to learn everything about religion? I have my own life to live, I have my own hobbies and my own interests, there's just no time in the day to go study everything about religion. And I totally agree. When I say that society should be trying to boost religious literacy, I definitely don't mean trying to learn every minute detail about religion. Religious literacy is not just knowing facts, but it's a method for how we approach topics about religion. At the forefront of developing this method is Harvard University's Religious Literacy Project. They have an online class, which I'm linking in the description below, that narrows this method down to 3 fundamental assumptions that everyone should know about religion. The first one is that religions are internally diverse as opposed to uniform. Now, I talk a little bit about this in the Bill Maher versus Ben Affleck video, but it bears repeating. Each religion is incredibly diverse. Now, of course, there are big divisions, like Christianity being subdivided into Roman Catholicism, Eastern Orthodoxy, and Protestantism, or Islam subdivided into Sunnis and Shias, but there are cultural differences too. A Hindu born and raised in India might practice or perceive their religion differently than a Hindu born and raised in the United States. But even on a regional level, there are huge differences. Evangelical Christians living in Boston will differ from evangelical Christians living in Nebraska, or evangelical Christians living in central Pennsylvania. Even though they might share the same creed, differences in politics and demographics and income levels might shape different expressions of their commonly held religion. But there is even diversity within a single religious community. In a single church of 100 people, you might have 100 different motivations for being there. You might have individuals that no longer believe in God, or people that hold so-called heretical beliefs that are outside of Christian orthodoxy. All this to say that even in a single local religious community, we can't say that they all speak with one voice. When we recognize that religions are diverse on a global, regional, and even local level, red alert signals should be blaring in your ears when you hear some pundit say, all Buddhists are nonviolent, or Christians vote Republican. Sure, this might be true for certain groups, but the statements are just so generalized they're not that accurate. The second point is that religions evolve and change over time, as opposed to being ahistorical and static. Alright, I admit that this also might be way too obvious to repeat, but many people don't appreciate the significance of what this means. Our religions have been around for a long time, and they are products of their historical context. This means that religion's beliefs and doctrines and theologies have changed significantly over the course of centuries. The Religious Literacy Project, which I mentioned earlier, uses the example of slavery, how the 3 big Abrahamic religions have reinterpreted slavery over the course of centuries, first justifying it, but now here in the 21st century denouncing it. Theologies change over time too. Before the 19th century, you would have had a hard time finding a Christian who believed in the rapture. It just wasn't a well-defined doctrine. But now, especially after the wildly popular Left Behind series in the 1990s, this doctrine is pretty common among evangelical Christians. Another modern example would be the Southern Baptist Convention's changing stance on abortion. In June of 1971, the Southern Baptist Convention passed a resolution allowing the possibility of abortion under such conditions as rape, incest, clear evidence of severe fetal deformity, and carefully ascertained evidence of the likelihood of damage to the emotional, mental, and physical health of the mother. And 30 years later, in their 2003 convention, the Southern Baptists determined that the leadership in the 1970s were espousing a non-biblical view on abortion, and worked instead to outlaw it completely. All of these examples are to show that religions are not just internally diverse, but they are historically diverse too. At every moment of time throughout history, religions constantly undergo reinterpretation by their living adherents. And number 3, religious influences are embedded in all dimensions of culture, as opposed to functioning only in the private sphere of social life. Now, this one's a little bit more complicated, so let's try to unpack it. We often think of religion as something personal. It's a decision that you as an individual makes, and you as an individual practices in your own personal life. But in actuality, it is impossible to separate religion from its cultural context. Quoting the Religious Literacy Project, in the same way that race, ethnicity, gender, sexuality, and socioeconomic class are always factors in cultural interpretation and understanding, so too is religion. No matter what facet of culture you're looking at, art, politics, even etiquette, clothing, and food, you will always find religious influences. So for example, consider something as mundane as the calendar in the United States. Even though the US government is secular, Christianity is embedded in our calendar. Government offices are closed on Sundays. Christmas is a national holiday. Christianity is also embedded in US cityscapes. Looking out over Boston, I see church steeples everywhere, in the same way that we see minaret minarets everywhere looking out over the skyline of Istanbul. When we recognize that religion is embedded in every facet of our culture and not just relegated to our private lives, we will be better equipped to understand when these religious influences are at work. So these are the 3 basic assumptions that I feel lay the groundwork for being a religiously literate person. If you understand that religions are internally diverse, historically diverse, and religion is embedded in every aspect of our culture, then you'll be equipped to approach any topic about religion. Sure, knowing every minute detail about religion is great, but I understand that we're busy people and there's no shame at all taking this shortcut. As always, thanks for watching and subscribing, and I'll see you next time. So as I said, these 3 assumptions come from the Harvard Religious Literacy Project. They are currently hosting a series of online classes on religious literacy that will be going throughout the summer. And no, this is not a sponsor. I just happen to have taken this class myself, and it's a lot of fun. So follow the link in the description and check it out. But thanks does go to our true sponsors, our patrons on Patreon. Because of you guys, this channel can exist and continue to thrive. If you'd like to be a patron yourself, just follow the link in the description or somewhere on the side, I think right here. So thanks again, and I'll see you next time.